Hello everybody, we are back for Sector 1 Sim Racing action after quite a long break. We are back with Season 10 racing action, and we're here of course for the Nurburgring endurance round. My name is Lenosis, and joining me in the commentary box tonight is your Category 2B race director, Carbon Boy. How are we doing tonight, Carbon Boy?
Good evening, Lenosis. I am doing quite well, thank you very much. How's yourself?
Yeah, I'm pretty alright. I mean, we haven't had racing action or competitive racing action in Sector 1 for, I believe this is 3 weeks now. So, yeah, keen to be back into
Who's
things.
counting? Who's counting?
Yeah, keen to be back into things for some competitive racing action. And we've got a 2-hour Enduro tonight. And of course, we've only got one race tonight, so keeping things nice and simple. We are running behind schedule tonight as we were having a bit of issues getting myself into the racing lobby, and without me in the lobby wouldn't be having a show tonight as the streamer. So here is our track map for this evening. It is, of course, round 4 of 8, and we are at the Nurburgring for the Grand Prix layout. Qualifying will be 10 minutes, followed by a 2-hour race. The usage rates are the same as the rest of the season: 3 times tyres, 4 times fuel, 2 litres per second refuel rate. Random weather is on, so even in the test starts we had a little bit of wet weather, so yeah, just interesting to see how things play out in terms of the rain, whether it hits or not, so drivers will need to keep one eye on the radar. Same as the rest of the season, soft and medium tyres available for use today. 15 turns, 5.148 kilometers on the GP circuit. Yeah, it's pretty staple circuit, so should be a good race here tonight with these Div 4 guys. What do you think, Carbon Boy?
Well, I've been looking forward to this actually. Not just the race itself, but you and I haven't shared a comms box for an S1 event in quite some time due to us being on, well, I suppose in opposing categories, we kind of share the workload a bit. So when I'm racing, you're doing comms, and when you're racing, I'm doing comms. So it's kind of nice to be in the same place at the same time for once.
Yeah, exactly.
And
Just like old times.
And I'm looking forward to tonight's race because there's just been looking at the points a little bit earlier today. There's a couple of guys who are very much on the threshold of breaking out of Cat 2B and making their way up into 2A. So tonight's race could very much determine a bit of a reshuffling of the order. Of course, that would also be pending results of the next race, which is in 2 weeks' time for Category 2A.
Yeah,
But
absolutely.
their efforts tonight will go a long way in potentially changing up their season a little bit.
Absolutely. Double points on offer tonight. So lots of up and down to be made with these guys tonight. We have right on the cusp. We're not going to worry about the Group A because those guys will be racing next week. But in terms of Group B, we have Wartime on 37 points. Keza 1 point behind. Blind Man another point behind before we have Good Doc in 18th, Greg's 19th, Malevolent One in 20th, Debrev 21st, Renegade 22nd, Cruisin 23rd, Prua 24th, Rainbow Sox 25th, Rudsy 26th, Killer 27th, and Archangel down the bottom in 28th. Now, we are missing a number of drivers tonight. 3 is the magic number in Archangel, Killer on the Loose, and Prua. Killer on the Loose with a race ban, and Prua and Archangel due to other reasons. But I say we get this show on the road and we get the 10-minute qualifying started. What do you think, Carbon Boy?
That sounds pretty good to me. Now, if I can find the button, because somebody has decided to change the writing on the button from English to German, and I'm sketchy with English at the best of times. So German, I've got even less luck, and it's not painted bright orange like it used to be. But I reckon if I just hit this big one right here, that should probably get us underway and give the green light to the guys in pit lane to get out on track and start setting some hot laps.
Yeah, absolutely. We do have somebody who's German in the paddock. He also happens to be the head steward. At least by the naming, I should say. And we are a go with qualifying as the drivers make their way out on track. Now, what can you tell me about the moisture at the start of this session? Is there a little bit of water on the track at the moment, Carbon Boy?
There is currently no moisture on the track.
Sad.
It is quite dark and gloomy out there, so I'm not sure how warm the track surface will be, and subsequently there might be a slight lack of grip, even with the racing soft tyres that these guys are qualifying on.
Yeah, absolutely. As these guys pass through the first timing split, so the order will sort out and we can go through the grid. So we have Cruisin out the front in the Switchblade Sim Sport car. He's having a pretty decent campaign this season. He hasn't made... he was racing up in Group A last round at Brands, I believe. And then we have Good Dog second place there. On track in the Blacklight Motorsports car. Rainbow Sox there in third in the Ironheart Sim Sport car. The other Switchblade Sim Sport car in Blind Man, he is fourth out on track, the number 99. Rudsey just behind in the Black Rose car. There's so many similar team names. Bound to slip up eventually. Keza just behind in the Brocchio 5 Sim Racing car. In the bright pink and blue car. We have Greg's in the Symmetry Science car, the only Symmetry Motorsports car in the field for tonight, as Nemesis is not here. Wartime, the other Brocchio 5 Sim Racing car, makes his way down the bottom of the circuit there. Debrev, P9 at the moment, ninth car out on track for CP Motorsports. He finds himself back out on track in this Div 4 field. Renegade there, 10th car out on track in the Hoon Corp Esports entry. And last but not least at this point of the session is Malevolent One in the Thunder Motorsports car. So these guys are starting all their flying laps at the moment as they're cruising, making his way through the first sector of the lap, first few turns. What can you tell me about this first sector here, Carbon Boy?
That I am not a fan of it. I can tell you that much. Well, I was going to make the comment that it's just nice to see that on their outlap, all of these guys have managed to space themselves out quite noticeably. They're all giving themselves plenty of room for their flying laps, which is great to see. I mean, obviously there can be an advantage with the slipstream, but it seems like the drivers tonight are simply happy to run around in their own space and they don't want to disturb anyone else or themselves. So it's good to see they're all giving themselves plenty of room.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, last round these guys had the one-shot qualifying at Brands Hatch, and I think that's just mellowed them out a little bit and taught them a thing or two about leaving room in qualifying, which is what we love to see. Qualifying incidents are probably the worst kinds of incidents, so it's just nice to see each other spreading themselves out and using their own bit of road. As Cruisin crosses the third sector split, he's just got the 2 more corners to go. Let's see what he's going to do as he approaches the chicane. Under brakes now at about 80 metres. Gets turned into the chicane. That was very aggressive on turning. That might come with a penalty. It does too, half a second. So this isn't going to be a representative lap for Cruisin as he rounds the final corner and heads down towards the start-finish line. It will be Good Dog who will set the first proper timed lap.
I think I'm going to rename that final chicane the Heartbreaker, because you get through the entire lap of the Nurburgring GP, you get to that chicane and everything can just be undone by just cutting it that little bit too much and copping that track limits penalty.
Yeah, absolutely. As Wartime goes to the top of the times, as it looks like the Brocchio 5 cars are just keeping or using each other for a bit of extra pace in qualifying. However, they're currently P1 and P10 between them, as we see a cone fly off in the background.
I think that might have been the Good Dog going through the turns 1 and 2 there, just running a little bit wide and taking out some of the scenery with him.
Yeah, absolutely. So the current fastest lap after the first run of laps is Wartime, 3/10 over Greg's, and Rainbow Sox in P3. Ghost will be very happy if Rainbow Sox finishes the qualifying session in that position.
I dare say he's probably in front of the stream right now, cheering on his young protege.
So riding on board with Greg's as he heads up the hill from the bottom of the circuit. He is purple as he comes through the Schumacher S's. Keeps the foot planted up the hill now. Looking very tidy so far. Using all the track width on entry. Using all of the AstroTurf. Gets turned in. Pretty good positioning on entry. Uses all the track width on exit. He's up by 4/10 here. Look at this. He might go to the top of the times here. Let's see what Greg's does. He's just got 2 more corners to go. A heartbreak chicane, as Carbon Boy has dubbed it. Oh, it's almost all going wrong. That might be a little bit of time lost. Let's see what he's going to do. Into the final corner. On the power now. The car wants to rotate on that entry curve, apex curve, I should say. And what's he going to do? Oh, he goes third. Blind man to the top of the times. He manages to put in a whopping lap, a 2 minute 4.7, a second quicker than Wartime. What a lap.
Keza has also made a massive leap up the leaderboards from 10th up to 4th with a 2:05.902.
Yeah, absolutely.
As both he and his teammate run very, very wide at the Valvoline curve. I know the final chicane is officially named NGK, but I'm going to call it Heartbreaker.
I honestly agree with that. Because as we just saw with both Cruisin and Greg's, that chicane causing all sorts of issues. It's hard to take fast. And if you just get a little bit too hungry, you can throw away your entire lap, which nobody wants to happen. As the Brocchio 5 cars still flying in formation as they head up through the Schumacher S's.
So Rainbow Sox is still in 3rd. Wartime up in P2, his teammate P4. Greg's is still sitting pretty in P5. He's only a couple of hundredths behind Keza, and he is currently a couple of hundredths purple. The Symmetry driver's looking really good, coming towards the Heartbreaker.
Ooh, as Wartime lets Keza go through.
Greg's also got a bit cute with the curbs there at Heartbreaker. Flirting with disaster, if you will, but manages to keep it.
He put another 6/10 on the field.
Oh, tell you what, Greg's has put in a cracker of a lap there. He's another driver in the 204s.
Absolutely.
With a 204.966, but he is 8/10 behind Blind Man.
I was starting to think that Blind Man had run away with this qualifying session. He had over a 1.5 seconds to the rest of the cars, but Greg's able to put a stop to that, gets a clean lap in, and halves the gap, but it's still over sitting at 8/10 on the dot. So these guys are going to get one more chance at this.
Malevolent One's managed to put himself up into P3 with a 2:05.739 on his previous lap. He's got a little bit of traffic in front of him, so he may not be able to bust out a lap much faster than that on this particular lap because we are running short on time. Although he is up on his
clock.
He is up on his personal best, so might be able to make some inroads into Greg's.
as this will be the final lap for everyone. 1.1 seconds left. Cruisin is up on his time by 1.1 seconds, I meant to say. As he heads into heartbreak. This is where we saw him on that first flying lap. He got it all wrong and got a penalty. Looks like he's navigated that quite cleanly. He's got one more corner to go. What can he do? He's up by over a second on his lap time. Where is this going to put him in the pecking order? Barrels down towards the finish line. And he goes to third. Good lap from Cruisin. Next few cars to cross the line. Rainbow Sox improves, but not in position.
P6 still fairly respectable from the young Ironheart driver.
Last few cars rounding the final corner. Is there any change to the story at this point of the session? Good Doc. Oh, Renegade to 5th. That's a great lap. Good Doc manages to go to 9th. And that's all she wrote for the session.
They've gotten in just in the nick of time there.
As we have a look at the qualifying results for that one. So Blind Man will be starting the 2-hour Enduro on pole position with a 2:04.1, a whopping 8 tenths over the next best competitor in Greg's, who is second. We have Cruisin in third, Malevolent 1 fourth, Renegade 5th, Wartime in 6th, Rainbow Sox 7th, Keza in 8th, Good Doc 9th, Rudsy 10th, and Dobrev will be starting from the back in this one. So, wow, that was a spectacular qualifying showing from Blind Man to put 8 tenths on the whole field. That is absolutely spectacular. So, what are your predictions for this one, Carbon Boy?
My prediction? Well, I was going to say chaos, but actually that's a poor choice of words. So I'm not going to say that. I'm predicting we're going to see a wide variety of strategies, which I'm genuinely curious to see. Is a driver's going to favour the soft tyres and extra pit stops? They're going to go with the medium tyre and go for a longer stint each time around and reduce the amount of pit stops they have to make? Or are they going to have some sort of strange hybrid of the two? I genuinely don't know what they're going for, so I am very keen to see what eventuates there.
Yeah, absolutely. We deliberately don't have a strategy graphic for tonight because we just don't know what the drivers are going to be doing in terms of strategy. So it's entirely up to them to see what they can do with the rates compounds available. So yeah.
If we had a strategy graphic, it would well, the list would be so long that the writing would be so small that no one would be able to read it on your screen. So
it would just be a big question mark in the middle of the screen.
Well, we should have done that though, to be honest. I myself, I would probably be favouring the medium tyres and just get into a rhythm. Fill up, and when you come into pits, slap a fresh set of tyres on. Fill up as much fuel as you need, plus a little bit more. Rinse and repeat, basically. That would be my thoughts. And then if you get to the stage where, you know, at the end of the race, or if you need a quick stint, so to speak, to maybe make up some track position, or simply just make it to the end of the race, maybe throw in a light fuel load and a set of racing softs and just go hell for leather. But being a 2-hour race, a lot can happen. So even if you don't have the greatest first couple of laps, you've got, you know, an hour and 45 minutes to make it up. So just because someone's 5 seconds in front of you, you know, for a 2-hour race, that doesn't mean a thing.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, these Cat 2B guys have been struggling to get the race starts right this season. But he's hoping when they have not much time pressure, they've got 2 hours on the clock, that they keep things nice and sensible for us. That's the ultimate hope here. So what do you say we get things off and going for the Adelaide Ceramic Coatings Category 2B Nurburgring Enduro?
That's quite the name, quite the mouthful, and you've done well to get that out, and I totally concur. Let's get this show on the road, because I am keen to see what these guys can do here.
Here we go. Thanks for tuning in tonight, everybody. Make sure to slap your race predictions down below, and we'll see how wrong we get it by the time the checkered flag falls.
Oh yes, definitely throw your podium predictions into the YouTube chat. I'm keen to see what you guys at home think, guys and girls and everyone else, think about what's going to happen tonight.
Absolutely. As the drivers line up on the grid. 2 lights, 3 lights, 4 lights, 5 lights. And we're out and racing here at Nurburgring as they barrel down towards the first turn. Blindman gets an extraordinary start. Greggs falls down the order a little bit. Cruisin manages to pull alongside into the first turn. Do they keep it nice and smooth? Please, guys, keep it nice and smooth. Yes, they do. That's a Switchblade Sim Sport 1-2 at the moment, with Blindman followed by Cruisin as they're 2 wide through turn 2. There's a little bit of push and shove there. 3 wide in the background. Look at this stuff. This is extraordinary racing action on the opening lap here.
I was riding on board there with the good doc. There was a little bit of non-consensual touching. Oh, that's a lot of. Oh, that's not good. There has been a fair bit of touching going on back there, and Keza is unfortunately off track and into the wall with a little bit of damage. But good doc is slowing up. I think he knows he might have played a bit of a part in that.
Yeah, that's a tricky incident, that one.
Yeah.
I'm not even going to touch that with a 6-foot pole. I'm going to leave that one to the stewards if they decide to investigate that one. But as we continue on with the live racing action, Greggs in 3rd, followed by the Switchblade Sim Sport pairing up front. Then we have Malevolent 1 in the Thundercar just behind before the rest of the field, barring Keza and Good Doc, who are down the back after their bingle at turn 5. Into Heartbreak for the first time in this race. Blindman will hold the pole position for lap 1, and he takes it into lap 2. Greggs currently in 3rd place still. He's put 1.4 seconds over Malevolent 1 at the moment. As we see, Malevolent 1 and Wartime under a lot of pressure. Will we see a move from Wartime, or will he play for keeps here as he dives down the outside? As Malevolent 1 goes nice and defensive. Little bit of contact on the apex between the two, but Malevolent 1 holds on to his 4th place. And that's bringing Renegade into things as well, who sits in P6 at the moment.
I've just been having a look through the field to see who's on what compound, and there is actually a surprising mix of compounds going on. We've got Blindman out in front, who's running the racing medium, Cruisin, who's also on the mediums, as is Greggs and Malevolent 1. Then you've got Wartime in 5th position currently, who is on the racing softs, so he's going to be looking to try and get past Malevolent 1 as quickly as he can to take advantage of those tyres. Renegade is on the mediums. Rainbow Sox has opted to start on the softs. Rudzy is on the mediums, who is just behind that little battle pack. Debrev is also on the mediums. Keza is on the racing softs, and Good Doc is on the racing mediums.
So yeah, definitely a big mix in the field. So lots of alternate strategies. As we see, Rainbow Sox tries to go down the inside of Renegade at the top of the hill, but it's not going to open up for him. We have Wartime and Renegade still neck and neck as they barrel down the back stretch of the circuit towards Heartbreak.
This is a hot little battle pack forming here with these 4 drivers, or 2 pairs of drivers. Each pair has 1 on the medium and 1 on the soft. And
Absolutely.
both the soft tyre drivers are looking to get past as quickly as possible. Rainbow Socks getting a little cheeky at Heartbreak there, but I think he's gotten away without getting a penalty.
Looking back up top, Blind Man, he's got 2 seconds over his teammate Cruising at the moment. Greg's on a charge. He's reeled back Cruising into slipstream range, but he's also dropped Malevolent One, who finds himself with a little bit of breathing room over Wartime at the moment. 6/10 the gap at the moment, 7/10. It opens up. Has Malevolent One run deep? Yes, he has. Wartime puts the pressure back on Malevolent One there, I should say. As we see Wartime running a little wide. Can't run too wide there. You sometimes pick up a penalty from the stewards for track limits. It looks like, well, that corner, of course, there's no track limits really, so drivers can just run as wide as they want. As we have a look down the back, we have Rudzy getting involved in that Renegade Rainbow Socks battle as well. He's not too far out of the mix. As we see Wartime looking for a late apex maneuver to try and get up the inside of Malevolent One. He's going to create an overlap into the hairpin. Is he able to get it done? He's going to be late under brakes.
Might just be able to take advantage of his tyre situation here at Dunlop. Gets it done.
Does slide on by. Textbook move from Wartime. He set that one up from the top of the track there. Rainbow
Socks still looking to make his way past Renegade.
Oh, Malevolent One picks up a penalty. And runs off the track. He's in all sorts of trouble at the moment. Renegade trying around the outside. Rainbow Socks looking to the inside. They're almost going 3 wide. Is Rainbow Socks able to get by Renegade here with the slip up from Malevolent One? No, he's not. He has to back out of it. Are they going to go 3 wide? Oh.
I'm holding my breath for Heartbreaker here.
Rainbow Socks tries to go down the inside. Can't quite get it done. They stay in the order that they were before.
Meanwhile, Rudzy in P8 is just sitting behind these 3, rubbing his hands and licking his lips and saying, yep, you guys make one mistake, I am all over this.
Renegade had a snap of oversteer then, and that leaves him vulnerable to Rainbow Socks, who slides on by up into P6. And he will begin his charge for Malevolent One. Renegade trying to come back at him here, but brilliant exit from Rainbow Socks. He's nice and narrow there. Just trying to gain time on Malevolent One.
And he will have the advantage over Malevolent One coming up into the penalty serving zone, as Malevolent One is carrying a half-second penalty. So if Rainbow Socks can just stick with him, he's just going to slide on by with little to no effort involved.
Yeah, absolutely. Rainbow Socks not really making many inroads into Malevolent One in the early stages of this lap, but a bit of a mistake from Malevolent One. Runs deep, and that leaves him vulnerable to Rainbow Socks, who closes that gap to 3/10. At the bottom of the circuit now. Rainbow Socks is definitely going to get past when Malevolent One inevitably serves that penalty in a moment's time. Through the Schumacher S's.
Rudzy is still there or thereabouts. He's running fairly consistent numbers at this stage. He's on the racing mediums.
He's made up a bunch of positions at start as well. He did start down in P10, I believe, and now he's up to 8th. So good job to Rudzy to start off this one.
Rainbow Socks has slid on by Malevolent One, taking over P5. Due to the penalty serve.
Yep, absolutely.
And Renegade is slowly closing up to the back of Malevolent One. They're both on the same compound of tyre, so running a similar strategy.
So what do you say we jump into an APR automotive tyre and fuel update there, Carbon Boy?
Sounds good to me. Alright, so up front we've got Blind Man, who's currently 2.5 seconds to the goods. He's on the racing medium compound. Tyres are looking relatively fresh all around, to be honest. Probably less than 10% wear on the front tyres, and he is just under 75% of fuel. Cruising P2 also on the racing medium, slightly more wear, closer to the 10% mark, and slightly less fuel at probably 69-70%. P3 is a wartime on the racing soft tyres and has, well, he may not be P3 for long. He's got Greg's going up the inside down into Dunlop. I might just hold off for a second. Greg's has the inside. Wartime gives him plenty of room. All right, so going back to Greg's in P3, he is on the racing medium with about 10% wear on those tyres. But he's using a lot of fuel at this point. He's probably at about 65% left in the tank. Wartime on the racing soft is probably just under 70% fuel and is probably about 25% worn on his soft tyres. Equal situation for Rainbow Socks in P5 in regards to tyre wear. Rainbow Socks has used a bit more fuel, probably 5% more fuel than Wartime in front of him, so he's probably at about 65% at this stage. Malevolent One P6 is on the racing mediums with about 10% wear and about between 65 and 70% fuel left in the tank. Renegade P7, pretty much a carbon copy of Malevolent One in terms of tyre wear and fuel. Also, again, another carbon copy for Ruzzy in P8 in terms of fuel, but in terms of tyre wear, he's got just under 10% wear on his tyres, so he's managing those quite well. Debrev P9, he's doing really, really well on fuel. He's just dropped under 3/4 of a tank and probably has about 10 to 12% wear on the front tyres. Keza in P10 is on the racing softs, probably about 30% wear on that front left tyre and about 65% fuel left in the tank. And the Good Doc in P11 is on the racing mediums, doing quite well on fuel, being just under 70% now, and on the racing mediums, probably about 10 to 12% wear.
Thank you for that, Carbon Boy with APR Automotive. You're in safe hands. So looking back up to the front of the field, Cruisin sits 3.5 seconds
Hold up,
behind
we've
his
got
teammate. Oh,
we've got Greg's going down the inside of Wartime. Or Rainbow Socks decides to join the party as well. That was a bit forceful. Going into Dunlop before the Schumacher S's. Poor Wartime's had both Greg's and Rainbow Socks go for the inside line there. And now Rainbow Socks wants to have a conversation with Greg's about that P3 position.
As we'll have a look on the JSM accounting action replay at just what happened there at the hairpin. As they were
Greg's is going
right to stern, and then as they head into the hairpin, does Wartime run deep? He does a little bit, and then that opens the door for Rainbow Socks to slide on by. So very opportunistic move from Rainbow Socks there to get himself up into P4.
It may not last as long as you might think, because both Greg's and Wartime are on the medium compound, whereas Rainbow Socks is on the softs. So unless he can get past Greg's and skip off into the distance, his tyres might just fail him before that crossover between the worn soft and still very much alive medium tyre comes into play.
Yeah, absolutely.
Greg's is doing a fantastic job of driving defensively there. Leaves the door open a little bit there at the not the Castrol, the Ford curve, which I find it interesting that it's called the Ford curve when it's right in front of a Mercedes-Benz arena, but I'm going to leave that one alone. Or is he? Oh, Rainbow Socks is flirting with a gravel trap there. That's not a relationship you want to get into, young fella, trust me.
Absolutely not.
I didn't get the nickname Garden Boy for no reason, so...
As As Rainbow Sox
As
runs
Wartime,
wide, it opens up the door for Wartime as they come through the Schumacher S's. But Rainbow Sox, he's still left vulnerable as he has to take the defensive line. The inside becomes the outside, and Rainbow Sox will have to yield, will he? Or does he keep the nose in? No, he has to yield as Wartime slips on by. Up into third place once again. These guys chopping and changing. This is the racing that we wanted for this season. Absolutely
there was some good driving there from Wartime. Just, I don't know if he set him up or not, but he definitely took advantage of Rainbow Sox being a little compromised through the Schumacher S's.
Wartime playing into the racing rules there. Gave him as much room as Rainbow Sox was entitled to, but not a millimetre more. Oh, we have 5 cars in the space of not a lot. From third all the way down to Rudsey there in 8th. Do we see a move from Malevolent One on Greggs? No, he backs out of it. Oh, Wartime! Huge moment! And he will lose that position to Rainbow Sox, who re-inherits third place. He had a massive snap of oversteer there from Wartime. We'll have a look on the JSM Counting action replay and just what happened there.
I should also correct myself on what I said earlier. Both Rainbow Sox and Wartime are on the Racing Soft compound. I was mistaken in thinking that Wartime was on the medium, so my apologies, people watching at home, for the confusion.
It's okay, we forgive you. Let's look at this in the background. We see Malevolent One, Renegade, and Greg still going at it. Renegade peels to the inside at the hairpin. Can he get it done? Oh, they're side by side on exit, leaving each other plenty of room. This is very great, good racing. But now Malevolent One, he's going to take the narrow line through the Schumacher S's. Oh, he has a massive snap of oversteer at the apex. But he still has enough momentum to hold P5 for now. Renegade trying to find a way through. Doesn't quite open up for him. Oh, throws it down the inside. And did Malevolent One go off there? Oh, they're 3 wide. Look at this. Are they going to go 4 wide even? As Renegade made contact with Malevolent One, and Malevolent One has dropped a few positions, so let's play on for now, but we'll see what the stewards have to say afterward.
I can't help but get the feeling that Malevolent One and Greggs are playing the long game here.
I mean, it is a long race, so it makes sense that drivers would be playing the long game.
Oh, that was a terrible pun. Terrible, terrible pun.
What pun? I'm just stating, I'm saying it how it is.
Thank you, thank you, Captain Obvious.
Yeah.
I was talking more in a sense of not having too much urgency in the way they're driving. Seems like they're very aware that it is a 2-hour-long race, so not everything needs to happen right now. I mean, we are only 18 minutes into the race.
Yeah, I mean, for our sake, I'm glad that they are going at it a little bit and having a bit of a tussle, but at the same time, they're still keeping their heads down and driving quite safe, so it's great to see.
Oh, definitely. The driving attitude from these guys is very, very different than if it was, say, for instance, a 10-minute sprint race.
Yes.
So it's good to see that these guys have their heads on straight and they know the score, they know the deal. Speaking of drivers who have their heads on, Dobrev's just doing his thing, still back in P9, setting very, very consistent lap times. He's sitting just over half a tank of fuel with about 30% wear on his medium tyres. So he's doing a lot better for fuel than the guys a couple of seconds up the road from him in terms of fuel. So if he's going to be running a similar strategy to them, he's going to make up a lot of time in the pits based off his fuel saving.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the fuel flow rate is 2 litres per second. So if he, how much fuel would you say he has over the guys ahead, roughly?
Well, for a comparison, after 9 laps, Malevolent One has about 40% left in the tank, whereas Dobrev is bang on half a tank right now.
Yeah, okay, so that's like 5 seconds. So on.
So there's 5% right there, and by the end of the stint, oh sorry, that's 5%. By the end of a racing stint, that could be a 10%, 10 litre fuel advantage. So there's, 5 seconds easily in the pit.
Yeah. Dobrev just trying to keep his head down at the moment and keep plodding along, and the race will come to him. I mean, sitting in P9 at the moment. It looks a little grim, but Dobrev, he knows he's been around for a long time, and he knows how to. He knows a thing or two about strategy, is what I'm trying to say. So we'll leave Dobrev to it. See, come back to him in about an hour's time. See where he is on the grid.
You've also got to take fatigue into account in a race like this. I mean, most of us are used to, your 40, 45-minute race. I've sort of found in the longer races, such as like a 2-hour race, it's sort of at about the hour and 15, hour and 30-minute mark that your attention just really starts to drop off. And that's where mistakes start to creep in, as I see Blind Man have an initial D-type moment through Heartbreaker, getting all kinds of crossed up, managing to hold on to it nicely though. But that does cut a few tenths off his lead over Cruisin' at the moment.
Rainbow Sox currently sitting 3rd. He's on the soft tyre, but he's driven quite well in his first stint.
He has. He also is the holder of the current fastest lap with a 2:05.594.
How close is that to Blind Man's fastest lap? So Blind Man has just been setting very consistent laps.
Blind Man's best lap is a 2:06.123. So 0.6 faster than Blind Man. Given a tyre compound difference, that's. I'm not sure if Sox's fastest lap will stand. Should any of, say, the two drivers in front of him decide to fit the soft compound tyre and go for broke and pick up that extra point. But so far for now, he's the holder of that and a podium position as well. But he is going to have to pit for tyres sometime in the very near future. And he's also not doing that great on fuel either. He is right on a quarter of a tank. Whereas Wartime, who's a couple of just 2 seconds behind him, is probably, he's also on the soft tyres, is, I'd say, a good 10% better off for fuel than Sox is. I mean, Wartime's used a little bit more tyre, but he's used a lot less fuel.
Yeah, okay. Definitely interesting. I mean, for this first stint, drivers will have different ways to attack this first stint. You'll have 2 main camps, the people that want to conserve and set up the race for the end, or the people that recognise that the race start, this first stint, is where they're going to make up the most amount of time. They're going to go hard.
Then we've got P5 and 6, Renegade and Rudzy, who are both on the medium tyre. They're both pretty much identical for fuel and tyre use, and they are equal, pretty much equal on fuel consumption with Wartime. So they can keep going a little bit longer than, as I just look back to Malevolent One there, he's picked up another half-second penalty.
Yeah,
not quite sure where. I would say it's Heartbreak.
Yeah, He was side by side with Greg's. He was overtaking Greg's and then just slammed it through the bollard at the last apex of the chicane there. And yeah, ended up.
Yep, that'll do it.
Of it.
I've done that many times. Can confirm that will get you a penalty.
So we'll have a look on the JSM accounting action replay. See that again and yet. No excuses. He's just absolutely slammed the bollard with the right side of his car. So he's a long way over. Left side of his car, sorry. I mean, we don't enforce the rule in F1 where you can't overtake off the track because we just sort of let the track limits police themselves. However, if this were a series where you're not allowed to overtake off the circuit, Malevolent One would probably have to hand that position back.
But can we highly recommend that you just keep the car on the racing surface at all times if possible?
Yeah, well, you can't get penalties if you drive on the circuit.
I reckon there's a few drivers in our ranks who would argue that point, but I tend to agree with you.
As Greggs will re-inherit that position for P7.
Well, Rainbow Sox is coming into the pits at the end of lap 12. He's decided to call it right there, whereas Wartime is going around again.
So, initial thoughts on strategy. So how much fuel does Wartime have? No, not Wartime. Who is on the mediums and conserving quite well? Blind Man, perhaps?
Well, Blind Man are cruising. Oh, hang on. I'm just watching Greg's and Malevolent One going side by side into turn 1. Sorry, slightly distracted. It looks like Malevolent One's managed to get it done. He's managed to get that position back from Greg's after serving his half-second penalty.
Oh, Malevolent One. Huge moment. Oversteer in the middle of the arena there. That could have been real bad for Malevolent One.
So back to the conserving conversation. Blind Man out in front is bang on a quarter of a tank of fuel, and he's not even halfway worn through his medium tyres. It's quite obvious if you look at them. A set of tyres is going to last you a lot longer than a tank of fuel. And I'm kind of getting the feeling that he's going to be aiming to pit, what are we now, lap 13, probably the end of lap 15, which would bring us just past the half an hour mark. So probably running a 3-stop medium strategy. And you will watch as driver turns around and proves me wrong, as they have been known to do many times over the course of history.
Yeah, well, that's what I was thinking. If Blind Man can extend that stint to, say, 40 minutes, is he then able... Oh, that's pushing it. Because ideally... well,
Cruisen's in the pit now. He's called it. Just under the half an hour mark.
Yeah, Rainbow Sox, who was in on 25 minutes. So he would have to do a 3-stop at least.
Well, he has come out on the racing mediums with a full tank of fuel. He has brimmed it.
And then you've got Cruisin and Rudsey coming in. Are they also doing a 3-stop? Oh, we have Renegade and Wartime going side by side. Is Renegade able to get that done? Into the first turn, late on a brakes. Is Renegade able to get it done? Yes, he does. Wartime gives him all the space he needs. Wartime just recognizing that it's not really the race to have right now at this point. Lap 14 of probably for a quarter way through, 14 times 4. I'm not going to do the math. Somebody in the chat can do the math.
56.
Thank you.
But given that it's still under half an hour, I'd say 57. All right, Cruisin has gone to nearly 3/4 of a tank and chucked on a fresh set of racing mediums. Rudsey still putting fuel in the car at this point. I think he might be absolutely brimming the tank. Oh, just under. He's gone to just under 90%, and he's also fitted a fresh set of racing mediums.
Oh, and he's jumped Rainbow Socks in the pits. Albeit he does have 10% left in the tank, so that's a long time to be standing still.
I think that track position was made up by short fueling that 10% because Rainbow Socks did brim the tank.
Yeah.
But given his, I won't say excessive, enthusiastic fuel consumption in the first stint, I mean, he was on the racing softs, so that does account for a fair bit of it because you will always use that little bit more fuel with the racing softs than the mediums because you can just get on the power that much earlier. Yeah. But I'd say that fuel discrepancy accounts for the 4-point-something seconds between the two drivers at this point.
I mean, it's interesting from Rainbow Socks because now you're thinking.
Sorry, we got Wartime and Malevolent One coming into the pits. Wartime with 11% in the tank, Malevolent One with 7. Wartime on the softs, of course. Malevolent One on the mediums. So it's Wartime's done a great job there of being able to use less fuel. Keza, his teammate, is come in as well. Wartime's doing really good with his fuel usage.
So interesting with Rainbow Socks that he's filled the tank because if he plans, that would only really work if he plans to go as long as possible. Like you sometimes see people filling up their tanks and then so they don't have to put in as much fuel at the next stop. But
there could be that as well.
It doesn't really work in a race like this because you will have that stint on a higher fuel load, so you'll just be bleeding time the entire way through. But
he could also be going for a soft medium strategy.
Yeah,
he pitted just under the half an hour mark, so he could be going as Wartime has come out on a fresh set of softs and a full tank. Keza is still putting fuel in the tank at this stage because he pitted just under the half an hour mark, so he could be looking for his mediums to get him to just around the hour mark and then rinse and repeat for the second hour. Keza has also brimmed the tank and come out on a fresh set of racing softs. Malevolent One brimmed the tank also, but he's out on a fresh set of racing mediums, so he's the meat in the BSR sandwich right now.
So the interesting thing here at the moment... Oh, no, never mind. I was going to say Renegade has jumped up quite a few spots, but that's because he is entering the pits at the moment. So is Greg's.
And another driver who's still running around is the Good Doc. His racing mediums are just over half worn on that front left, and he is on the fuel line. But as Greg's comes in with absolutely nothing in the tank, he's run his numbers. So I'm actually intrigued to see what these guys are going to do. I just want to see if the Good Doc comes in on this lap or whether he goes around again.
Look
and then I want to see
15%
nope.
in the tank.
He goes around again. Okay, so Good Doc's going around again. I want to see what tyres he puts on next, and I'll keep an eye on where are we at. Renegade is still filling up. Fuel going in the tank, very painfully slow. We've switched from the electric pumps this season to the old hand-cranked pumps, so it is a little bit slower than usual, but that does bring fuel conservation in as a factor in strategies.
Yeah, fuel conservation, it has a much larger effect in this season than it has in previous seasons. But
all right, Renegade is out with a full tank and a fresh set of mediums. Malevolent One with another half-second penalty is looking to try and take advantage of him having some heat in the tyres. Renegade manages to hold onto it. Debrev has about 90% fuel in the tank and a fresh set of racing mediums. And Greg's has brimmed the tank and a fresh set of racing mediums as Blind Man in P1 comes into the pits with 3% left in the tank.
Yep.
So there's a minute and 6 seconds gap between him and P2 of Cruisin, who has already pitted, so that gap will come down significantly.
Yeah, Cruisin pit quite early, so I'm curious to see whether Cruisin has done enough to get the undercut here.
He is sitting on about 55% fuel in the tank, so he might make up some time in the short term, but as he's just coming into Heartbreaker now.
Sorry, did you say that Cruisin's on 55% fuel?
Correct.
That is extremely low. But unless he's running to a number, he knows what he's doing. Good dog peels in.
Yep, the last of our drivers. Oh, hang on, Yep, the last of our drivers to pit. He comes in with 1% fuel after 15 laps.
So Cruisin is going to take P1, but he has half a tank less than Blind Man did first.
Yep. Blind Man has brimmed the tank with fuel and has a fresh set of the racing mediums on board.
So hang on, how has that happened? I don't remember Blind Man having that much of a gap over Cruisin.
Well, Cruisin did pit, so there would be a large amount of that gap between P1 and P2.
Yeah, but
and if Cruisin has short fueled in that pit stop, whereas Blind Man has brimmed the tank, and I'm waiting for the penny to drop.
But it's 25 seconds, so Cruisin was 8 seconds behind Blind Man, and now he's 7 seconds ahead. That's only.
What have we told
seconds.
you about doing maths on stream?
Well, Cruisin's lost 11 seconds somewhere, and I don't know where he's put it.
I'm looking at his lap times, and they're all fairly solid and consistent, except for, well, obviously the in-lap and the out-lap. So he hasn't had any on-track incidents. I would say it's, well, Cruisin has been running fairly consistent 207s, whereas Blind Man's been running fairly consistent 206s. So I'd say that's where your 11 seconds has come from.
I don't know. All that I do know is that Cruisin is leading the race at the moment with 6.4 seconds over his teammate Blind Man, who has about 5 laps in hand at the last pit stop. Rudsey was the big winner in all of that, I think. He's up into P3 now. He's made up about 5 positions on the road, which is a brilliant drive so far for him.
Rainbow Sox still hanging in there in P4, but he's got Wartime just 1.5 seconds behind. And they're running, well, Wartime is running the soft compound tyre, so that gap is coming down noticeably quickly as Wartime takes the fastest lap with a 2:05.451, taking that extra point away from Rainbow Sox. So I'd say within another lap and a half, Rainbow Sox is going to be under some weighted Wartime. That is a suboptimal line for turn 1, just putting it out there. Okay, maybe 2.5 laps before Rainbow Sox is under some serious pressure from Wartime. And you've got to love the exit of the forward curve there. You can just run out as wide as you want, and there is no danger of getting a track limit penalty. Although the danger in that corner is running too wide and getting onto the grass, and then things go backwards very, very quickly. Malevolent One's still hanging in there in P6. He's on, what is he on? 3/4 of a tank of fuel with a relatively healthy looking, well, very healthy looking set of racing medium tyres. And his nearest competitor is Renegade, who is actually on the racing soft tyre with about 80% fuel in the tank. So Renegade might be... He's only 1.4 seconds behind Malevolent One at this stage, so I'll keep an eye on that one. He might be looking to make up some track position in this stint. Whether he can make it to the 1 hour mark on these tyres, I'm not sure. Another 20 minutes on a set of racing softs. That I am intrigued. That gap between Rainbow Socks and Wartime is now down to just under a second. Socks is running very consistent numbers in the low 208s to mid 207s. And then on that lap, just goes out and pulls a blinder with a 207.15.
And Wartime got the fastest lap as well.
I did mention that.
I'm just deaf, don't worry about me.
You're sitting right next to me and you don't even listen to me. What's going on? But Wartime is right on the rear bumper of Rainbow Socks coming out of Ford Curve. Not sure how defensive Rainbow Socks wants to be here.
Things are spicing up between Malevolent One and Renegade as well as further down the order we have Brev and Keza in close proximity.
Wartime's showing the nose a little bit down at Dunlop, but I don't think he wants it. He forces Rainbow Socks to go defensive, and he's looking for the switchback coming up through, well, they call it Audi S's, but I don't like Audis, so I'm going to stick with the Schumacher S's.
It's the Schumacher S's.
Yeah. My track map tells me Audi S, but I'm refusing to acknowledge that. I am a big fan of Michelin tyres. They are our tyre sponsor for this season as they come through that sweeping left-hander, which I always have trouble with. Back into bit curve. And this slight little kink in the road here, they like to call ITT Borgen. I could have a lot of fun with that name, but I'm going to leave it alone. Into Heartbreak, Wartime. Oh, he's gone very deep on the grass, and he's been reset. Oh, that has not gone well.
That's disaster for the Brocchio 5 sim racing car. As we have a look on the JSM accounting action replay. Into Heartbreak. Wartime's heart was broken. And just too late on the brakes.
He so nearly got away with that there. He knew he was deep under brakes, and he was trying to get it back on track and stay out of the racing line. Unfortunately, the track reset says no, you shall not pass.
Yeah.
So that's a free kick to Rainbow Socks there. He's got himself 3.5 seconds of breathing room, and unfortunately, Wartime with his tyre situation may not be able to get back past before he has to jump into the pits to replace what I presume will be a thoroughly shagged set of racing softs.
Looking up front, the switchblade pairing, cruising now just under 2 seconds ahead of Blind Man, who's made up a whopping 4 seconds over the last 3 laps.
Malevolent One and Renegade battle's getting very spicy. Malevolent One going defensive into Dunlop. Renegade holding the inside.
These two have already clashed this race.
Malevolent One on the racing mediums. Renegade on the softs. They're coming into Michelin. Renegade. Oh, that was
a huge contact.
That was ambitious with a capital A.
Yeah, absolutely.
That was... Yep, look, leaving that alone, that's not something I would have tried. But anyway, moving on. Blind Man is making inroads on his teammate very, very rapidly. That gap is down to less than a second. And the fuel deficit is quite huge, with Cruisin being on about 30% fuel and Blind Man being bang on 3/4 of a tank.
Yeah.
As Cruisin has just backed off there at the forward curve to let his teammate on through. They're obviously on the team comms saying, "Hey, we're doing 2 different strategies here, so I'm not going to hold you up." I mean, if you're going to let anyone through, it's going to be your teammate.
Yeah, absolutely.
Pruski, if you're listening, hint, hint, nudge, nudge.
I mean, if I recall correctly, last season Prua let you through on a number of occasions.
He made me work for it. He didn't hand it to me on a silver platter. I mean, yes, he did, but it wasn't easy. It took some convincing.
Speaking of Prua, he is absent from tonight's race due to some real-life racing. He was racing in Race Tasmania, which has been going on this weekend, racing his XL in the XL Support Series down there. He was on 7 Plus and KO. You can go check it out, the replay, if you would like.
Malevolent One and Renegade are back to their old tricks, coming through the Schumacher S's. Renegade is 3/10 off the bumper of Malevolent One.
Oh, is he going to do it again?
No. He thankfully has learnt from the previous lap that that was probably not the best idea, and he's held off. He certainly wants to get past, but I think he's wisened up a little bit as to what presents itself as a reasonable opportunity and what does not.
Yeah. As Cruisin hasn't left Blind Man either, he's just sitting 6/10 behind. Oh, as Malevolent One
Renegade.
runs,
Yeah, Renegade got a great run through Heartbreak there, and that has let him slip up the inside for Coca-Cola. And I think that's the job done. Well, if my prediction is correct, we will see Malevolent One use a slipstream here and then go to the inside for turn 1. But no, he's braked a little early and stepped out of it. Which, to be fair, is not the silliest idea, because he may be aware that Renegade is on a different compound of tyre to him. And Renegade is chewing through those softs rather rapidly, as opposed to Malevolent One, who still has a very healthy set of mediums underneath the car. He does have about 5% less fuel than Renegade does, however. So while he might eventually get to the crossover point where his mediums are better than Renegade's softs, he may not have the fuel to stay out long enough to do much about it. So there's some food for thought right there.
Food.
And not...
As we're staring at the side of the Thunder Motorsports car with his boy Elroy on the side.
Yes, I wouldn't mind a burger right now, actually, to be honest. Maybe we could get some Uber Eats delivered here up to the comms box?
Perhaps. I did get on the phone to Artsy and ask if he could sort out a Sector 1 discount for his boy Elroy. They're a burger bar in the Illawarra, but I haven't heard back from him yet, unfortunately, so...
Artsy, hint, hint, nudge, nudge, wink, wink, hook us up. Maybe just like I don't know, order a burger and fries, get a free milkshake, you know, that kind of deal.
Yeah. Well, there are a number of Sector 1 discounts at a variety of businesses. The only one I've personally cashed in was one time when I was in Canberra. This guy on screen here, he was working at an Indian restaurant and did us a solid and set up a Sector 1 discount. So just had to mention Sector 1 and got some grub. Yeah, it was pretty good.
No, the food was good. Excellent. I was always rather hesitant to try Indian food myself, being the person that I am. Food with a lot of spices in it tended to scare me a bit. But then once I did, it's absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
Just don't ask for it to be too authentic if you can't handle the heat, so to speak. Because their version of mild and my version of mild are very, very different things.
Now, funny story actually. When
Oh boy.
I went with a couple of friends to the Taj Mahal, the Indian restaurant that Cruisin was working at, and my friends were a bit hesitant because they were a bit like you. They're a bit white and they don't like much spice. And
Hey, we can't say that. Caucasian.
And they're like, well, check out the reviews on Google. And every single review on Google was pretty much the same thing. They're like, oh yeah, food was alright, but what really made the experience was the waiter, Shannon, which is Cruisin. And there's people like attaching photos of Shannon on the Google Maps page, and I just found it quite funny that Cruisin's service was so memorable that people were writing Google reviews about it. So
Excellent. So he's not only a cracking driver for S1, he's also an excellent member of the hospitality staff.
Yeah.
That might be a bit of a cue for his team owner to bump up his salary a bit, so he doesn't have to subsidise himself working another job as opposed to driving.
Yeah, absolutely.
Hint, hint, nudge, nudge, Switchblade TO. Maybe you will have a contract review coming up in the near future.
Well,
But he's definitely not letting his teammate get away. It's still only about 2 seconds, but Cruisin is rather low on the fuel side. He's going to be on the fuel light in the next lap, so I don't think he's going to make the hour mark. I don't think he's going to make the halfway point on this fuel load that he's got. Now, while he does have a 19, well, let's call it 20 seconds, a 20-second gap back to Rudzi in P3, he also had, well, there we go, he's on the fuel light now. I would say that there is, say, a 16 or 17% fuel difference. So Rudzi's just above a quarter of a tank now. And his tyres are looking very... Oh, there we go. Cruisin is in the pits now.
So is, oh no, I thought my man was too for a second there, but...
That is a negative. That is a negative. He's going around again. So Rudzi's coming through Heartbreak now. He will inherit P2. And he will be able to keep going for quite a few more laps. He probably... Well, he definitely will make the 1 hour mark on this stint, if he so chooses. As Cruisin's car's just pulled into the pit box, Ruzzy crosses over the line. Rainbow Socks comes into the pits as well, surprisingly. I'm surprised because he's bang on a quarter of a tank of fuel and his mediums are not even half worn, so he could have quite comfortably gone on a few laps longer. So I'll keep an eye on him because I just wonder if he's going to go another soft tyre stint or whether he'll go for the mediums again. Cruisin's had the tyres done. He comes out with 66% in the tank and a fresh set of mediums. My brain is not processing this.
I mean, he's done 2 stops and he's approaching the halfway mark. So is he running to a number? Like, is he fully committed to the 3 stop? That's the big question.
Oh, there's a big one here. Rainbow Socks. He has not changed tyres. He still has the racing mediums on that are about, I'd say about 40% worn on that front left. And he's put just over 3/4 of a tank of fuel in.
Yeah, okay. So
that's interesting.
he's put less in this time, that's for sure?
Yeah, he did brim the tank on the last pit stop and put fresh tyres on, but has elected to not change the tyres and not fill up the tank. I'm interested to see how this all plays out.
Yeah, I don't know, because I think Cruisen's in a better position than what we think he is, because Blind Man didn't make it to 40 minutes, so he's going to have to do 3 stops anyway. But I think Cruisen...
He might be looking to do a super fast soft tyre stint somewhere in
Yeah.
Whether he chooses to do it on his next pit stop or whether he chooses to do it at the end of the race to bring it home could be anyone's guess. That puts Rainbow Sox back into P10, just over 8 seconds ahead of the Good Dog, who is still rather comfortably running around with about 40% fuel in the tank and about 1/3 worn set of racing mediums.
So if you haven't already, we're approaching the halfway mark of this race. We have 24 people watching. Make sure you slap that like button. If you haven't already, subscribe to the channel, as it really helps us out in the long run. Yeah, the second stage of pit stops here at the Nurburgring are taking effect. Lots of differing strategies and alternating strategies.
Yeah, we've got 2 soft tyre runners in P3 and P4 at the moment in the form of Wartime and Renegade. Wartime's front left is screaming for mercy at this point. It's got less than 10% life left on it, and he's got about 1/4 of a tank of fuel. 3 seconds behind him is Renegade with about 30% fuel in the tank and a much healthier looking set of tyres with about 25% left on that front left. So these two have been running a fairly similar strategy over the course of the race, so I'll be keen to see how it plays out for the both of them in terms of how they stack up against the rest of the drivers and also how they stack up against each other in towards, I'd say, about the last 15 minutes of the race is what it's going to come down to with these two.
So the interesting thing, as we see Greg's in the background going for a move on Malevolent, I can't quite get that done. But as I was saying, the interesting thing is that the softs don't seem to be as strong of a tyre as the mediums. It seems like the softs are great for the opening part of the stint, but then the mediums just start to nip back at them, as we're seeing now with these guys, as Greggs pulls to the inside of Malevolent 1. Is he going to get that done? It looks like he will into the first turn. Dives down the inside. And will make up P4 there for the Symmetry Motorsports car.
All drivers in the top 5 making up, or top 6 making up a position at this point, as Rudsy's into the pits for a fresh set of tyres and filling the tank as I speak. Just keeping an eye on him to see what he comes out on. I am like you were saying about the tyres, I would be a fan, just personally, I would be a fan of using the medium tyre in a race like this, because by the time I get into a nice steady rhythm, if I was on the soft tyre, it'd be half worn by the time I'm in the groove and in the zone, whereas a medium would be just warmed up. As Rudsy comes out with a full tank of fuel and a fresh set of mediums, and the Good Doc goes sailing on by into turn 1. And he'll be there for a little while yet, because his mediums are not even half worn yet, and he's still got about 30% of fuel in the tank, so he'll have Rudsy for company for quite some time as he gets very, very sideways through the forward curves. As does Rudsy a little bit there on the cold tyres. Rainbow Sox still in P9.
Blind Man at the moment needs to pit, but he has 36 seconds over Wartime in second place. So he is absolutely walking away with this one at the moment.
It's going to be a while before Blind Man needs to pit, to be honest, because he's got about 35% fuel in the tank, and his racing mediums are probably only about 40% worn on that front left. So it'll be another 4 to 5 laps before he'll be thinking about a pit stop, I would imagine.
Yeah. As we are about to go past the halfway mark here. So things sort of calming down for now. We still have these 4 cars of Greg's, Wartime, Renegade and Malevolent One battling it out. Oh, as we see Renegade slip past Wartime there, up into P3 he goes. Into the hairpin now. Oh, runs a little deep. Wartime absolutely struggling out there. As Greggs takes off to the tune of a 2.5 seconds through the Schumacher S's. And he does have a little bit of breathing room at the moment, which he'll be very happy with at this point of the race. He needs to try and sustain that gap over Renegade. He wants these guys to fight just behind. If they can battle and squabble between them, that means that Greggs will be able to wander away with this one.
That would be a definite advantage to him. Now, just while we're at a little bit of a quiet lull in the race, what were the podium predictions from the YouTube chat?
Let's have a quick look. I don't think anybody put anything in the chat. Wow.
Oh, boo.
Yeah,
boo.
You guys are all boring.
Got to give us something to work with, guys. Come on.
All right, well, seeing we're at the halfway mark and Malevolent and Wartime are into the pits, tell us your halfway race predictions, your podium predictions. That we are at the halfway mark, so just throw them in chat. See how things are going. I mean, I think for Blind Man, he's essentially a pit stop ahead of the rest of the field at the moment. So you can't go wrong with saying that Blind Man could win this one. But the other two is up in the air. It could be anyone's game at the moment. That podium is far from over. There's maybe 6 names that could go on that podium at the moment.
I think you'd be a bit silly to not have Blind Man on your podium predictions right now.
Yeah, that's for sure. So the drivers are leaving the pits at the moment. So Rainbow Sox is 30 seconds behind Cruisin'. And they are even on stops, I think. Wait, hang on a minute. Was Rainbow Sox in on that last lap?
Negative.
So he's had a big error on lap 28 at 2:14. He's lost 5 seconds somewhere.
He's definitely had a moment there.
Which is less than ideal.
It's doesn't suit his narrative, which I'm not 100% sure what it is, because not filling the tank and not putting fresh tyres on at that last stop did kind of throw me a little bit.
I mean, I can see the logic in using the same set of tyres, because the mediums do take a while to fall off a cliff, but that's flirting very dangerous to that cliff for the mediums. I mean, you do save like 5 seconds in a pit stop if you don't change the tyres, but over a stint length, are you really going to get 5 seconds out of that? Probably not. like you're gonna lose more time, more than 5 seconds on the old tires than you would just taking the initial hit of 5 seconds. So yeah. Oh, somebody's off. It is Rudzy. P7. Oh, Rudzy and Good Doc. Have they had a coming together, mate? Let's have a look.
Oh no.
Oh, is Rudzy is redressing to Good Doc. So they're playing a game of chicken. That was a bit strange, but these two continue. Wait, Rainbow Sox is in. What's he done?
Yes, Rainbow Sox is in the pits.
Has he? Maybe he's tried to stick out on those tyres, but it's just too hard. He's come back in for another set. So we'll have a look what happened here between Good Doc and Rudzy. As they head down through the bottom. So Rudzy was behind. And then as they approach Heartbreak, Rudzy just misses his braking point. He's like a heat-seeking missile, just takes out Good Doc, and Good Doc gets reset, unfortunately.
Oof, that's a big one.
Ooh. So rightfully, so, I don't think there's anything malicious in that. Absolutely not. I think Rudzy just absolutely misses his braking marker, and there's nothing he can do. He's just a passenger at that point, and unfortunately, Good Doc got cleaned up. And Rudzy, he tried to redress, but I believe that it just didn't. Because Good Doc was just happy to let him go because he recognised that he was the quicker car. But yeah, I don't know. That was.
It's a horrible feeling when you are that driver who misses your braking point and you're sailing towards impending doom. And Renegade and Greggs are in the pits, with Renegade being on the soft tyres and Debrev is joining them as well.
So Cruisin inherits P2 there. Blind Man a minute up the road, but he does have to take a pit stop, so he will lose about a minute, roughly, when he decides to come to the pits. Well, depending on how much he fills the tank. It's about a 20-second transit time, and then if you put 80% in the tank, that's...
He is just above the fuel light at this stage, so I would imagine in the next 2 laps he'll be in the pits.
Yeah. Now the question... Wait, did Blind Man fill up on that last stop?
As in all the way?
Yeah, all the way.
I don't think he did. Actually, no, he did. He did brim the tank. It was Cruisin who short fueled.
So Blind Man is going to have to do a splash and dash at the end, I think, because 1 hour. Well, let's say 1 hour 10 into the race, he decides to pit again. That's still 50 minutes he's got to do on a set of tyres and a tank of fuel. So I think for Blind Man's sake, he'll want to be in the pits, do another 35-minute stint, and then finish it off the last 15 minutes with just a...
The tyres you could do 50 minutes comfortably. It's the fuel that you would have to really conserve to get 50 minutes out of.
Yeah, absolutely. Because I believe we've got some drivers being overlapped here. Yeah, Keza and Rev, and then it will be Rainbow Sox about to be overlapped by Blind Man at just the halfway mark. So Blind Man absolutely ripping through this field at the moment.
So we've got Wartime and Rudzy in P3 and P4. Rudzy is on the mediums, Wartime is on the softs, making that soft strategy work for him. He's doing a great job. He's looking to make a move past Rudzy, and he wants to do it into Heartbreak. Goes to the outside, which becomes the inside. And he's on the soft tyres, so he's probably going to very easily... Ooh, he takes a lot of... What's a lot of grass there?
I have a feeling that might be an invoice for Wartime. That was
he got away with that. He got away with that.
Wow. That was tight. He was right up over that apex
There was a lot
curve.
of grass in that.
Not sure how he's got away with that, but he has.
He makes the move stick, and now he can take advantage of his softer compound tyres.
So once Blind Man pits, that should be the last stop. And then we should have an accurate depiction of where everybody is. It's a bit jumbled at the moment, but I think generally Cruise and P2 wartime third. I think from P2 down, it's essentially how the order lies. Now, how much fuel
fun
is
fact,
Rainbow Socks on?
I was just on board with him, and I was about to mention that on the last stint he took fuel but not tyres. And it appears that on this stop he's taken tyres but not fuel. So he's gone from racing mediums to the racing softs. But he's on about 30% fuel at this stage.
Yeah, okay.
So this is an interesting scenario. There's two ways he can go about it to the end of the race. He can go till he runs out of fuel in this stint, or runs out of tyre, and do another pit stop, put enough fuel in with a fresh set of softs, and then have to pit again for softs at the end of the race. Or he goes until he runs out of fuel or tyres on this stint, and then fuels with medium tyres to just go to the end of the race.
Yeah, if he goes another 15 minutes, he should be able to get to the end on a set of medium. So, if he's got 30% fuel, is that enough to get him another 15 minutes? Do you think so, Carbon Boy, or not really? That's a bit ambitious.
It's a fine line. I don't like his chances, I'll put it that way.
But the advantage that he does have now is that if he can somehow make this work and get to the end on one stop, he's not really lost anything. He's with this battle pack here now. Blind Man is in. After almost overlapping the whole field. He will drop back quite a lot.
Wartime is making the most of his soft tyre advantage over Rudsey. He's already cleared out to the tune of 3.6 seconds.
So Blind Man just starting to put fuel in the tank. So he's gone 35-minute stints roughly. So yeah, he's gonna have to do a splash and dash for the last 15 minutes. Chuck on a pair of softs at the end. Just throw a bit of fuel in. I assume he'll fill up all the way, which will see him a long way back. Oh my goodness! Whoa! Level at 1 just lagged. That like scared me. He headed into the hairpin at about Mach 2, and that caught me off guard. Wow. Okay.
Okay, can confirm Blind Man has brimmed the tank and thrown on a set of mediums.
Now the gap is only 2 seconds, or a second, between him and Cruisin'. So, but is Cruisin' a tank or half a tank under? Or where's
Cruisin's on just under 20% fuel at this stage.
So maybe Cruisin's trying to do kind of what Rainbow Socks could be doing. Just trying to get that car another 15 minutes, or now 12 minutes. And if he can get to that 35 minutes to go mark, then he should be able to get it home from there. So I think Cruisin he can afford to take those shorter stints because he's just equalising them out. Whereas Blind Man is going for the strat of go as long as possible and then do a short one at the end.
I don't see Cruisin' making it another 15 minutes with the fuel he's got in the tank. Not going to happen.
Only got to do 6 laps. You reckon he can do 6 laps?
With less than 20%? No.
I mean, Cruisin's got 30 seconds behind. So, I mean, if he did not want to do another stop, he could probably just conserve as no way he's losing 30 seconds of fuel trying to conserve. Of time, sorry.
He is short shifting at this stage, so he's definitely on a fuel well, as I say that, he just revs the neck out of fourth gear, so I could be wrong.
Just let him run their race.
I've given up trying to predict what a driver's going to do.
So Rainbow Sox and Renegade
Wartime has a 1 second penalty. That's seriously going to hurt. I mean, he has put a 5.5 second gap back to Rudzy, but he is hard on the brakes there in the penalty zone. So that is going to bring that gap back down a little bit. So it's just 2 seconds. 2 seconds between Rudzy and Greggs in P4 and P5. About the same gap between back to Malevolent 1 in P6. There's a little more daylight. Oh, as Renegade and Rainbow Sox are having a bit of a ring-a-ding going into Heartbreak. Renegade on the mediums goes past Rainbow, who's on the softs.
No, Renegade was defending.
Oh.
Rainbow Sox knocking on the back door, trying to get by. Will he do it into the first turn? That's the big question. Does he pull to the inside? Oh, he does, but can't get alongside. So cruising, not a lot of fuel left in the tank compared to Blind Man, who does have a lot of fuel left in the tank. Running very similar lap times, 2 seconds between these guys at the moment.
Just on that Renegade Rainbow Sox battle, it would have been a very short-lived battle because Rainbow Sox is now on the fuel light, whereas Renegade has just under 3/4 of a tank of fuel.
So everyone at the moment will need to do at least one more stop. And if you're someone like Rainbow Sox, who's now on fuel light, you're going to have to do 2 stops, which doesn't fill the race with a lot of hope for someone like Rainbow Sox. Cruisin's in, so that makes things tricky for Cruisin as well, as he's not going to be able to get home on a full tank of fuel. Rainbow Sox slips on by. It's a great move from Rainbow Sox there to get himself up into P7 past Renegade. Have a look on the JSM counting action replay. No, we've lost the replay. Oh well, we haven't got this sometimes happens with the longer races. We run out of replays to use in game, and now the game's not letting me use the replay. Oh well. As Rainbow Sox pulls in. Oh wait, does it? Yes.
Yes, Rainbow Sox into the pits, as was Cruisin. Cruisin's car's got his tyres on, fuel's going in the tank. Kind of curious to see how much he puts in this time around, because some of the strategies by the drivers here tonight have been confounding, to say the least. He's gone past 90%. I think he's brimming the tank. I get the feeling Cruisin's going to just try and go to the end of the race.
That is a long way to go.
He's got medium tyres. It'll be 42 and a bit minutes. He's got a full tank of fuel.
I mean, he's got 35 seconds to play with to the guys behind, so why not? I assume that's Cruisin's mentality here.
I mean, there's a bit of short shifting going on.
But now what that does mean is that Blind Man has 36 seconds over Wartime in P2 there.
So someone who's been fairly quiet this race, hasn't had a lot of screen time, Debrev, currently sitting P7. Now, he's got a very fresh set of racing medium tyres, barely 10% wear on them, and he's got about a bit between 65 and 70% fuel in the tank. So at the hour and 19-minute mark, we've got 41 minutes to go. He's probably got at least another 20 minutes of running on his current fuel and tyre situation. He could be very much going for one more pit stop and a light fuel load and racing soft tyres to just come home like an absolute barnstormer.
Yeah, I believe Dobrev has been on a very similar strategy to Blind Man this race, so I don't think you're too far away from the facts here in terms of what Dobrev is planning to do next. But yeah, P7 at the moment, one stop left, and he's going to have that go big or go home final stint. 15 seconds to the guys ahead. That's a bit how you going. And he will have, well, I guess now you look at Cruisin. Cruisin, if he goes to the end, I'm just thinking, because if Cruisin can't get to the end on that tank, Dobrev and Cruisin are essentially battling for position. Like, that's the tricky thing with these enduro strategies, is you don't know who still has a stop to go, or who is good to go to the end. But the way that Cruisin is bleeding time there, I have a feeling that he is conserving compared to Dobrev, who was just plugging along, minding his own business.
You don't quite know who's planning what in races like this sometimes.
Yeah, because that's half the excitement. I think some of my favourite races to commentate in Sector 1 have been the Enduros, just because they keep you on your toes and there's just always something to think about in terms of strategy and what's going to happen next. Like, you think, oh yeah, this person's got another stop to go, and then you look at them and there's like half an hour left, they've got half a tank of fuel, and you think, oh, they might just be going the whole way.
So even the situation we've got with P3, 4 and 5 with Rudsy, Greggs and Malevolent One, they're all, you know, within a second, 2 seconds of each other. Rudsy has about a third of a tank of fuel with about 30% wear on his racing mediums. Greggs has about 10 or 12% wear on his racing mediums, but has just over half a tank of fuel. And Malevolent One has about 20% wear, 25% wear on his racing mediums, and about 40% fuel. So while they're all there or thereabouts in regards to each other on track, they're all in very different tyre and fuel situations. Which, basically what I'm trying to say is, after the final pit stop that they're all going to have to serve, this may not be the order that they'll be running in after that.
No. I mean, as you say, they're all in different tyre and fuel situations, but we're approaching the point at which somebody could get home on a full tank of fuel. We're getting very close. Well, with the case of Cruisin, we may have already passed that point. But in terms of just the normal or average usage rates that we've seen throughout this race, this battle pack, we could see people pitting in the next 20 minutes, and that's a large window for that final pit stop. Normally in these sorts of races, you see that last pit stop converge to a certain single point, evidenced by last race, last season's Enduro at Monza, where we saw the 4-stop and the 3-stop both converged, that the last pit stop of the race was more or less at the same point in time. But we're not seeing that convergence in this race. We're seeing these drivers running their own race, taking different strategies, some going as long as possible, some just gunning it, but they're all taking the same amount of pit stops.
We've got a blue flag scenario with Rainbow Socks in P10 being shown the blue flag for Blind Man coming on through.
I believe Good Doc's down there as well.
Good Doc did make his way out of the way late in the previous lap, as Blind Man was purple through that first sector on the racing mediums. against the time set by Wartime, who was on the racing softs. As Rainbow Sox pulls to the inside of Dunlop, lets Blind Man go on by. Bit of a flash of the hazard there from Blind Man to say thank you very much. Wartime, current Speak of the Devil, currently sitting in P2. He's still on the racing softs, determined to make those tyres work for him. He's probably got about 25% left on that front left tyre. He's got about 30% fuel in the tank, so I think he's going to be trying to go as long as he can to do one more soft tyre stint at the end here. I don't think he wants to go the mediums at all.
So, Carbon Boy, you're racing next week in Cat 2A. What are your thoughts on strategy watching this race unfold? Who are you going to try and copy, do you think, in terms of strategy? What are your big takeaways for this one and for the drivers sitting at home?
Well, I can't go giving away too much insight to my competitors, can I? Oh, of course I can. Alright, so from what I can tell, the safe strategy is a 3-stop, mediums only, pit every half an hour, job done. The more ambitious strategy is go hell for leather on the soft tyres, but they're only going to last about 20 minutes. So over the space of 2 hours, you're going to be making... You're going to have a 5-stop versus a 3-stop.
But then you also have that strategy where you throw in the mediums combined with the softs in some fashion. I mean, it's all up in the air. I think for a lot of drivers, it's hard to run to a number. You sort of just got to wing it. It's sort of that kind of race.
The short version is I have no idea what I'm going to do. And that may not change until like lap 5 or 6 of the race. I may know what compound I'm going to start the race on, but what I'm going to do after that point, yeah, genuinely I have no idea.
I actually kind of like Cruisen's strategy here, where he's gone quite short stints, but they're balanced out in the long run. I quite like that approach, but I guess if you're in Cruisen's shoes, that's a little demoralizing, as taking those early stops, you're constantly sitting in a lower position than what you actually are, which can get on the mental side of things. Like, you're running a perfect race, you were second, now you're sitting P8. Like, yeah, it has its downsides, but I don't know, I find that sort of strategy quite attractive. But then you can't go wrong with Blind Man, who's executed his strategy in absolutely extraordinary fashion. Just the complete opposite, where go as long as possible and then come home really strong at the end. Which I assume that's what he's going to do. He's set that up at this point of the race. So we'll see how that happens. But
speaking of coming home strong, we've got Malevolent 1 in P5 at the moment, just within a second of Rudsey in P4. Both drivers on the racing mediums. Fairly identical in terms of tyre wear, just Rudsey is not quite so healthy on the fuel side of things. He's probably just dipping below 15% in the tank at this point, whereas Malevolent 1's bang on a quarter of a tank. So if Malevolent 1 can't get past him on track, he will more than likely get past him just on the pit stop. But it is looking like Malevolent 1 does want to make his way past on track. He doesn't want to wait for the pit stop. He wants to get it done now.
Well, they do have the drivers ahead to think about. They have Greg's and Wartime, P3 and P2 at the moment, who are miles down the road.
Although Wartime his front tyres, he's on the racing softs, his front tyres are... Well, you remember that cliff we were talking about? Well, his racing softs are about to jump off that cliff as he's struggling very badly there at Dunlop. So I would imagine that we will see wartime in probably at the end of this lap, because we are at an hour and 29 minutes into the race. So I would say if he comes in this lap, he will probably chuck on his last set of racing soft tyres, and he'll see out the last 30 minutes of the race.
Yeah, now is where we're going to start seeing people jump into the pits. Next 10 minutes is go time for these guys, really.
Just riding on board with wartime at the moment. It's coming through Heartbreak. And he chooses to go around one more time. He's got the fuel for it. That front left tyre is screaming for mercy, but he is maintaining his gap back to Greg's at around the 2.6, 2.7 mark. So
Runs in.
Okay, so in that little group back there, Rudzie's the first to blink. He was worse off for fuel out of everyone around him. Then Renegade's still above a quarter of a tank. Well, 11 at 1's probably at about 15% at this stage. Dobrev going around again, going on to lap 42 now. He's still above a quarter of a tank. And those front tyres on his mediums are still above half. So still plenty of health in them.
Yeah, I'm still unsure about Dobrev. I don't know whether his strategy is going to pan out for him, or he's just going to eventuate at the bottom of this battle pack, or that midfield battle pack. We'll just see how things play out for Dobrev. He's run an interesting race, that's for sure. I don't think the pace has been quite there, but he has been executing his strategy to a T, so we'll see if things go his favour towards the end of the race, I guess.
Well, the consistency in his lap times has certainly been there. 2085, 2084, 2082, 2088, 2081, 2087. Bit of a misdemeanor there with a 2093, but they're back to a 2088. Like just banging out lap after lap after lap like a bloody metronome. He does have Cruisen 3.5 seconds behind him. He's in a much better situation for fuel and tyres, but I wonder if Cruisen is going to be trying for a stop to the end, because he's below 3/4 of a tank with 28 minutes to go. As wartime comes into the pits.
Not much going on at the moment. Last few pit stops are coming in. It's Keza and Wartime, the two Brocky cars, into the pits. Of course, about 30 seconds apart, 50 seconds apart, as the timer screen says there. See how things play out.
They're going to be going on to some fresh racing softs, I would imagine.
Yeah, 27 minutes remaining should be enough to get them home.
I would genuinely hope so. They've been doing a good job of running this soft tyre only stint. Yep, wartime comes out. Just under a full tank of fuel, fresh set of racing softs. Keza still having fuel going in the tank. He is on a... I would hazard a guess he's at the racing softs as well. I think with under half an hour to go, you'd be a bit crazy to throw mediums on. I've been proven wrong many times, so feel free, guys.
Oh, big moment from Blind Man there. Almost lost it as he's trying to overtake Rudzi, who has blue flags at the moment. Lets him through at turn 5. Great stuff from Rudzi.
Keza coming out of the pits with a full tank and fresh softs as Malevolent One, as you said, ducks into the pits. Oh, hang on. Scrolling through the field, Cruisin has picked up a half-second penalty. Probably through the Schumacher S's, I would imagine.
Perhaps.
Very easy to run a bit wide there and put a wheel too far over the curb. Malevolent One, tyres are on, fuel's going in the car now. Keep an eye on what tyres he comes out on. He did come into the pits on mediums. There is a lot of fuel going into that car. They are still filling.
Well, you don't want to...
There we go. He's out. 90%. 90% fuel. Fresh set of racing softs. He's come out on track right behind Wartime, who is also on the racing softs with a fairly identical fuel situation. So 2-second gap between P6, P7. I'd say it's game on for these two to the end of the race.
Absolutely, just riding on board with Malevolent One at the moment. It's a pretty nice helmet that Malevolent One's got there.
And Debrev's managed to make his way. Oh no, he's still sitting in front of Cruisin. He's halfway through his racing medium tyres. Just above the fuel light scenario as he has a little bit of a moment there going through Michelin. But Cruisin is carrying a half-second penalty that he's going to have to serve right now. So that'll give him a bit of breathing room. Renegade comes into the pits. He's got 11% left in the tank. And a set of half-worn medium tyres on the car. So it'll be his time to pull the trigger, I'd say, and throw on a set of racing softs. He's been running very consistent times. There's a 2:07.0, 2:07.9, 2:07.4, 7.5, 7.7, 7.3, 7.0, 7.8, 6.8. I just threw it out there, but very, very solid laps for his last 7 or 8 laps. Debrev's also decided to match that and has pulled into the pits as well.
So Malevolent One and I assume Wartime are absolutely wringing the neck of these Meganes at the moment.
As they come out of Coca-Cola onto the main straight, they will take the positions away from Renegade and Debrev. As Renegade comes out with racing softs and 80-something% in the tank. Debrev still filling. Now he does come out. He will come out on track behind Rainbow Sox. Young Sox is probably about 30% fuel left in the tank and a very well-loved set of racing softs on the car. So I predict another pit stop in his future. Because that is neither enough fuel or tyre to make it through another 21 and a bit minutes.
So Greg's is in now, and Cruisin will inherit second place, or he should do. Now, the big question for Cruisin is, can he make it home? Do you think he can at the moment, at this stage of the race?
Oh, he's just gone under half a tank of fuel. So that's going to be his big concern. Tyres are not really a worry. Like those mediums he's got on, maybe about 35% worn on the front left. So he's got plenty of rubber left to get home, but the fuel situation is a concern. You've got to do 22 minutes on less than half a tank.
Yeah.
It's going to require some serious fuel saving going on.
I believe he pit with an hour 20 to go. So
Oh, Wartime has had a massive moment at Coca-Cola. He's just gotten on the power that little bit early and nearly puts it into the inside wall. Now that has cost him a massive amount of speed down the front straight, as Malevolent One is now hunting him down. Wants to have a go into turn one. He might just get it done here. And he does. Wartime will probably be kicking himself quite a lot right now. These two guys very evenly matched in terms of tyres and fuel at this stage. They'll both be going hell for leather until the end of the race.
Oh, Wartime!
Oh, he's walking a very fine line with that car right now.
Yeah, absolutely. Rainbow Sock's back into the pits. This will be his final stop of the race. Hopefully.
If Wartime's not careful, he's going to find himself under fire from Renegade very soon, because he's only 1.2 seconds back right now.
Yeah.
Maybe a little bit of fatigue kicking in for Wartime there. Just trying to get on the power a little bit too hard, a little bit too early.
Now, a little bit of attention to detail in the game is that when a driver clicks the look back button on their controller or steering wheel, the driver in the car will actually look at the mirrors. So just before you could see Wartime's character, driver just quick glance up at the revision mirror. So I'm having a look behind to see where Renegade is.
So Cruisin just about to get into the pit box now.
Oh, he is in, yeah, wow.
Greggs is coming around Coca-Cola now, so he's going to take over P2.
So has Cruisin strategied himself out of this race?
He might have made a slight miscalculation, but he's bang on half a tank now. He's got racing softs under the car, and he's going to find himself under fire from Malevolent One and Wartime.
That's a good spot to come out in.
Yep, definitely pulled the right lap to change your mind, so to speak, and duck into the pits for a change of tyres. Because if he came out behind them, he would be in a world of trouble. But as it is, he's got the track position, but he's got Malevolent One, Wartime, and Renegade all within striking distance. So he's not going to have any time to relax until the end of this race.
Absolutely not. It's going to be battle to the death
Wartime
here.
runs wide. He's onto the grass. Oh, manages to bring it back without losing control, but that puts Renegade right on his rear bumper.
It holds the position too.
Wartime just struggling a little. That was a very hugely ambitious move. That was. Yeah, okay. Renegade absolutely sending it from the stratosphere at Dunlop. Yeah, look. I don't know what to say about that one.
Yeah, ambitious.
Yeah, I'll stick with ambitious. But he has backed off and given Wartime the redress. That has cost them quite a few seconds between Wartime and Malevolent One. That gap now out to 4.6 seconds.
Things getting a bit gloomy here as well on the track. Could we see some late rain?
both Wartime and Renegade getting shown the red flag at the moment, with Blind
Red
Man
flag?
coming through. Blue flag. Blue flag, being shown the blue flag at the moment from Blind Man, who's just coming through Coca-Cola behind them onto the main straight now.
Blind Man's almost lapped the entire field. It's an extraordinary drive from Blind Man. He still does need to take another pit stop, which I am going to put my money on he'll be in this lap.
Given that the fuel light is flashing at him very, very rapidly, I'd say you're right. As Wartime and Renegade are going side by side through turn 2. Renegade gets the move done. There might be a blue flag flashing, but that doesn't mean that they can't battle away for position.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Blind Man, white.
Wartime! Stay away from the grass, son!
Wow.
Yep. Yeah, that's terrifying watching a driver just drifting out wide towards the grass.
Yeah, Blind Man, even though the blue flags are flashing, he's still a while way back. Drivers are permitted to hold their own until the overtaking driver is relatively close. Because I believe the warning comes on a whopping 3 seconds back, and it's unreasonable for these back markers to give up 3 seconds worth of time just to let a blue flag car through. So there's no real point where they have to do it.
It's very irritating as someone who's about to be lapped when it comes on that early, because it's just constantly flashing on your screen. It's really annoying. I mean, it's especially if they're only slightly faster than you are, so it might take them 5 or 6 laps to get to the point where you let them by. And just having the blue flag flashing for that long is just annoying.
I'll collect my
but that should clear the blue flags for them, and they can get back into their racing. The gap's only half a second. Tell you what, the pleasant surprise for me in this race has been Greg's, who's up into P2.
Yeah, he's just been in the mix and just taking his time. But as it stands, I mean, this is going to be the big battle here. Greg's versus Cruisin. Can Cruisin hunt him down? He's already halved that gap in the 5 minutes that he's been on these this compounded tyre. But I don't think
he's certainly
Greg's
not mucking around.
Easily. No.
Cruisin just took the fastest lap away with a 2:05.370 on his previous lap.
Yeah, absolutely.
So he's certainly not mucking around now. He's got some softs under the car.
Wow. Blind Man comes out of the pits with 52% in the tank. So he is going to be full push from here. I think he wants that extra fastest lap point here.
I think you might be right.
To be knocked off immediately.
I reckon we're going to see a 2:04 race lap somewhere in the mix here.
He has like
half tank of fuel
over the rest of the field. This is incredible. There's 3.4 seconds this lap, so Cruisin'. He's not made many inroads this lap. He's actually lost time by the tune of about a second there. But he makes up a monster of time through hard brake. And what is the gap going to be between Greg's and Blind Man? It's over a minute. Wow. Oof. So Blind Man, if he doesn't get the fastest lap, he can afford to pit again and have another crack at it if he wanted to, if he really wants that fastest lap.
Oh, would you take that risk though?
I mean, he's got a minute, so
but there's a pit stop, and there's also the monumental risk of binning it and losing a further 20 seconds.
That is true.
Is it really worth the risk for one extra point?
That is true. I mean, every point counts in the grand scheme of things, and especially in this Group B field, which is reduced points. It's only 18 points for a win, or in the endurance races, which this one is, it's double points, 36. That extra point, 37. It has a lot more of an impact compared to if you got the fastest lap in a Group A race, which would only give you 61 points as opposed to 60 points. I guess he's just looking for the clean sweep tonight. Here, Blind.
It's always nice to have that on your bragging sheet, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, Cruisin isn't making as much inroads as I thought he would be. He's down by over a second this lap.
Maybe he's had a bit of a sideways moment. I mean, after setting that 2:05.37 fastest lap, he then cranked out a 2:06.7. So probably had a bit of a sideways moment, bit of sketchiness going on, perhaps.
Yeah, absolutely.
Greg's in P2, meanwhile, set his personal fastest lap on that previous lap with a 2:06.240. Whereas Cruisin did a 2:06.749. So that gap's still hovering around the 3.6 second mark. And Malevolent One is only 1 point, well, was 1.8, had a bit of a sideways moment coming out of turn 1 there, but he's only 2 seconds behind Cruisin.
Blind Man coming through the last sector split before the end of the lap. He's up by half a second.
Oh, wow.
Oh, he's purple by half a second. Wow. Cruisin's really struggling. Possibly just doesn't have the grip there that he needs. He's dropping back.
Well, his tyres are actually significantly better than Malevolent One's behind him. So, Blind Man does a personal best of a 2:05.466. But Cruisin's 2:05.37. It looked like he backed off a little bit before Heartbreak, to be honest. He was just coasting into that braking zone.
I don't know, maybe
he doesn't want
to teamwork here, because Cruisin is sitting quite far off Group A in terms of points, so
maybe he doesn't want to take the fastest lap off his teammate.
Yeah, because Blind Man, I believe he only needs 4 points to get over the line up into Group A, so with double points and the pole position, he's well and truly going to have enough points to go up into Group A for next week. But the question will be, Cruisin, currently sitting third, has the fastest lap.
Will that not depend on the results from next week, though?
It will, but you'd have to have something very odd going on with the results of next week for Blind Man to stay down, I think.
Fair.
You'd have to have the people 10th to 14th finishing first, and the people who are first in the championship finishing last, so...
Right, so the gap between Cruisin and Malevolent One is down to less than a second.
Cruisin is struggling big time.
Even though he's got much better tyres than Malevolent One at this stage, maybe fatigue is just becoming a factor in the later stages of this race for him.
I have a feeling it might be. So the Thunder Motorsports driver needs to push now.
Or it could also be a fuel scenario, actually, because Cruisin is below a quarter of a tank, whereas Malevolent One's got near on 40%. So Malevolent One can just rev the ring off the thing and just absolutely send it. Whereas I think Cruisin is probably constrained a little bit and having to run to a number.
Oh, Cruisin grabs a little bit of grass on the entry of the hairpin there.
Not going to do him any favours.
No, he's very hungry for those track limits. Cruisen, wow. He's using so much of the track limits. I don't know how he has not clipped the grass and lost the rear end at any point here.
So Malevolent One is looking for that podium finish in the late stages of this race. Just over 6 minutes to go on the timer. And he's in a fairly good spot to be able to get onto the final step of that podium too.
Yeah, I think you're right with Cruisen being fuel compromised here. That would be it. As with 20 minutes to go, he put half a tank in. And if he's on 25% or less than 20% now, that's not a lot of fuel to get him home in the final 6 minutes.
So we've got Renegade in P5 with a very hard charging Wartime, 1.6 behind him. So Wartime might be able to make his way into a P5 by the end of this race as well. And, those are the 4 closest cars on track. We've got Blind Man with a 1 minute and 9 second lead over Greg's, currently in P2, who's got 4 seconds back to Cruisen, who is going to have to work very, very hard to hold off Malevolent One. 5 minutes to go. Renegade's in P5 has still got 1.4 over Wartime, so he's got a little bit more breathing space than Cruisen does, but still in 5 minutes that gap can evaporate very quickly.
Although Cruisen may have enough to get to the end, but that blip in pace that we saw, it could just be him trying to save a little bit of fuel to use if needed. So now we see him stretching his legs just a little, not a lot, but that 2 or 3 laps, maybe he was a bit concerned for fuel, so just drop back a little bit. So he had enough to compete against Malevolent One.
I would say Cruisen will get 55 laps, so this lap plus 2 more, given the time left on the timer. Oh, as he gets very, very sideways coming out of Heartbreak. So I mean, he's only just above the fuel light now, so 2 more laps, we'll see him cross the line pretty much running on fumes. The Malevolent One's got the run in.
No defense from Cruisen. Oh, late on brakes.
Plenty of room being given. Yeah, I think Cruisen just knows he may not have the fuel, the luxury of fuel to be able to fight for this. But he does get a very good run. Oh, yeah, he's shifted up to 4th, up to 5th very, very early. He's on the fuel light now. He's in 6th gear going past the forward curve. His fuel situation is basically put to rest any thought of defending that position. Renegade in P5 has managed to extend that lead out to Wartime out to 2.7 seconds.
You can hear how early Cruisen is shifting up, and he's just bleeding time on the exit.
Oh, he's having a bit of a rough time through the Schumacher S's as well. It's just being in a different gear to what you're used to sort of really throws you out of rhythm and can just... I know I've done it a few times where it just throws out my turn-in points. I'll turn in too early, too late, and it just gets a little bit messy. He's up in 6th gear, low revs. That fuel light is flashing at him very, very rapidly now, and he knows he needs to get through 1 more lap.
Yeah, and he's got 5 seconds to Renegade, so Cruisen could be in a world of trouble. He might not even hold on to P4 here.
One lap to go, down to 4 4.8 seconds. Might just be safe if he doesn't run out of fuel.
I don't know. Renegade got 3 seconds on him on that last lap. It's going to be a close one. And then Wartime's not far out of the mix either. Oh, he is dropped back 4 seconds. So something's happened to Wartime as well. Maybe just fuel issues as well.
But a massive, massive congratulations will go to Blind Man as he comes through Heartbreak. Actually, he's going to get a look at Melap.
Yeah.
He's got plenty of fuel on board, thankfully. He's got about 10% in the tank. He's not quite on the fuel light yet, so he will definitely get a look at Melap with 40 seconds left on the timer. He's good to go there. I don't think anyone else is going to see lap 56.
No. Greg's is at the bottom of the track at the moment, and he is a minute behind, so... yeah, so Cruisin', he's got 3.5 seconds to back to Renegade. Can he hold on? That's the big question. It's too hard to call. I think he might. The first driver to
You
finish
think he might
will
what?
be good, Doc. Which, that's funny. The first driver to finish the race will be the driver in last place. I think that's quite funny.
I think the good doc might just be happy to get this race over and done with, to be honest.
It then will be Greg's, who's driven spectacularly. He's going to get up on the podium. The second step tonight, the number 69 car. He rounds the final corner for Symmetry Motorsport. Spectacularly done.
Finishing the race where he started, P2. Solid effort, solid drive.
And Malevolent 1. For Thunder Motorsports. Wilf come home in third. Cruisin' holds on to fourth. Renegade comes home in fifth. Wartime will round the final corner and come home in a very nice P6. Rudsey next across the line. He will be P7. Next is Dobrev.
Solid P8 after starting in P11, I do believe, yes.
Bit of a quiet one for Dobrev tonight. P9 will be Rainbow Sox, but it will be Blind Man who rounds the final corner. An absolutely incredible drive from the Switchblade Sim Sports car. And he comes home to win by over a minute. Extraordinary race for Blind Man. Next will be Rainbow Sox, who has the wipers on and the hazard lights on. He's just flicked all the switches in the car, turned on everything he has, just to have a bit of a look at me moment. Crosses the line, and Keza
Closely
will come
followed
home
by
in P10.
Whew. Well, that's our Category 2B 2-hour endurance race around the Nurburgring GP. Run and done.
Yeah, absolutely.
Wow.
There we go. I thought the game was frozen for a second there. But
Oh, don't do that to us.
So here is the race results for the Adelaide Ceramic Coatings Category 2B Nurburgring Endurance Round. This is how they finish. So Blind Man finishes P1 with a total time of 2 hours, 1 minute, 28.227 seconds, with a fastest lap of 2 minutes, 5.399. Greg's finishes P2, 1 lap down with Malevolent 1 completing the podium. We have Cruisin' with the fastest lap there in P4. Renegade takes 5th. Wartime in 6th. Rudsey 7th. Dobrev there in 8th. Rainbow Sox 9th. Keza in 10th. And the Good Dog will finish 2 laps down in P11. So, Carbon Boy, who is your driver of the day for this evening? Nobody. So just gonna read the chat. Nice couple of driver of the day nominations in there. Driver, one second. Can't read it. Driver of the day, blind man, head and shoulders above the rest. Driver of the day, blind man, but an honourable mention to wartime. Great battles and a great race. Driver of the day, Greg's. Driver of the day, malevolent one. Yeah, all solid picks. Who am I going to give my drive of the day to? I think I'm going to give mine to Malevolent One. He just drove a brilliant race. Never really looked like threatening the podium in the middle stages of the race, but pulled it all through. Managed to get up on cruising there at the end, late stages, and came home with quite a nice P3 that the Thunder Motorsports team can take home tonight. Are you there, Carbon Boy?
Sorry,
No?
I had accidentally
Yes.
punched my mute button. I'm gonna go against my usual driver of the day nomination theory, and I'm actually going to give mine to Blind Man. I don't usually give it to the guy who won the race, but not so much for the winning margin, but just he ran his race. He obviously had a plan. He had a strategy. He ran it and he stuck to it, and he just made it work. And the end result was a massive gap between him and the rest of the field. So it's one thing to have a plan. It's another thing entirely to execute it. And he did so brilliantly. So for that effort, I'm going to give him my Driver of the Day nomination.
No worries. I think that's definitely acceptable to give the winner drive of the day in this case, for all the reasons you stated, really. Just ran his race and yeah, won by a long way.
Made it happen.
Yeah. VF says drive of the day, malevolent one. So yeah, bit of a mix. I mean, everyone just drove brilliantly, and there was lots of racing action up and down the field. It was just a solid enduro. Now, next coming up streams on next Saturday, so the 29th of March, we will be back here for the community series, which I believe there's a registration going up tonight or tomorrow night for
Yep.
people to register for. And then on the
And
30th.
also worth mentioning about the next round of the community series is, in light of it being in amongst all of our main game enduros, instead of being the usual 2 by 20-minute races, it will be a 1 by 40-minute race. So the community series will have their own little mini enduro, so to speak.
Yeah, very interesting. A bit different to what we normally do with the community series, but yeah, it just shakes things up for the community series, I guess. And then on Sunday, the 30th of March, we will be back here for the Category 2A Enduro.
Are you sure about that?
I think so.
You're not. It is Sunday, the 6th of April.
Is it? Hang on, hang
All
on, hang
right.
on, hang on, hang
Ladies and gentlemen,
on.
put your money down. Who's right, Lenosis or Carbon Boy?
Well, I made the calendar.
Which is why I'm
No,
concerned.
it is next week. Yeah, the 30th is Category 2A. Cardboy
No.
chicks.
I'm
What?
looking at the calendar right now. Division Category 2A, 6th of April.
Hang on,
Hmm.
something has gone wrong somewhere. Something has happened. Don't know what.
What has happened in your head?
I don't know. Don't ask questions.
I don't think I want to know, but I'm looking at the official S1 calendar, and it says 6th
Yeah.
of April for round
Anyways.
4. Right, either way,
Yeah.
we'll see you next Saturday night, hopefully.
Yeah. I think I put it in wrong somewhere. I put it in wrong somewhere. I've got conflicting information. So, anyways, we'll catch us definitely on next Saturday for the community series. But until then, that's Lenosis and Carbon Boy signing things off. Anything else to say before we sign things off tonight, Carbon Boy?
Thanks to all the drivers tonight. Thanks to everyone watching. Thanks for tuning in. You know the deal. Smash the like, smash the subscribe, smash a cold one. I'm out.
Sweet. We'll catch you guys later. Lenosis and Carbon Boy signing off the Category 2B Enduro. Goodbye.